Hey, Buzz YouTube, how's it going? All your UCL fans out there, welcome back to my coverage of this season of the UCL. I want to thank you all who have stuck with me from the beginning and are still riding the wave with me, guys. We have one final video after this one, and then hopefully an interview with the winner of the actual season 3 of UCL. So of course, if you guys haven't seen the semifinals match, there will be spoilers in this video, so warning y'all right now, click off the video, okay, if you don't want to know, if you haven't seen the matches yet. But for those of you who are excited for this, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. I really do appreciate all the support that y'all have been giving me. Comment down below, which was your favorite match? Was it Nexus versus Nick, or was it Mo versus PK? Me personally, I think my favorite match was Mo versus PK, because that was actually a lot better of a match than I expected it to be, because I thought Nick and Nexus were gonna have probably the best match, but Mo and PK really surprised, especially because it really came down to the wire, and I was like on the edge of my seat. Even though I knew the outcome, I still was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So it was a really good battle between the both of them. Definitely go check out those games if you guys haven't seen them already. So what I think I'm going to do is just kind of talk about the matches real quickly, then talk about the finals matchup between the two winners. So the first match, Nick versus Nexus. I feel like this match, especially this time around, Nexus was able to bounce back. He was able to have a better footing throughout the entire match, because if you go back and see Nick versus Nexus in the first game, Nexus got absolutely swamped. Like, Nick just kind of walked all over him, and it is due in part to Nexus not really playing to the best of his ability. But this time around in playoffs, where it really counts, he was able to turn it around, and for the most part he was on his A game. He did make some misplays here and there, but it's more so just nitpicking than anything really crucial. Like, he could have been more aggressive with his Crocodile, potentially even the Victini he had in the back could have come out a few more times. UCL was a giant issue for Nick to deal with, and this was a good example of where if you have a lack of stealth walkers on a draft, it is ultimately going to cost you a little bit, because he was able to get up his spikes, and Nick found really good opportunities to get up his spikes. I think he even got up spikes in front of like the UCL or like the Victini, I think, expecting Nexus to expect him to switch, which was really good playing on Nick's part there, because he was able to get up 2 layers of spikes. But if he had been able to have another stealth rocker, or if he had been able to get up rocks as well with those spikes, I definitely think that a lot of pressure would have been put on Nexus, because for the most part he was able to kind of pivot in and out for free. Even the spikes really didn't bother his walls, with Suicune and obviously UCL having levitate. Victini being assault vesta was never bothered by the spikes trying to switch into Roserade, even if Roserade was just defensive. But UCL, I think, was like the main kind of pain that Nick had to deal with. UCL was just able to switch in for free. Once Muck dropped to the Z Wild Charge from the Tapu Koko, UCL was basically just able to pivot in and out for free. No pursuit on Muck really ended up costing Nick for the UCL. And I think Nick, for the most part, brought like similar sets to what he brought in their first game. I'm not entirely too sure. I should have double checked that, but I know Dragon Dance Latios was brought again, which I don't disagree with. Dragon Dance Latios, I can see why it would have a decent matchup, but I don't feel like that might have been his best option sparing. Maybe like Calm Mind, especially offensive, would have been nice, just to kind of apply pressure to Nexus along with the spikes. Either way though, they both played decently well. They had each good plays they made and misplays that occurred, and ultimately Scarf Zydog was able to stop Nick's last ditch effort in Dragon Dance Mega Latios in hopes of sweeping. So yeah, Nexus pulled through to the finals of the season of the UCL, which I think I did say at the very beginning of the season, if I had to bet money on somebody making playoffs or making finals, it would be Nexus. And here he is, man, showing that he is definitely a very solid player as always, and that he still has got it. So our next match is going to be PK versus Mo, which again, this match was whoa, this game was really good, mainly for the fact also for the fact, actually I should say, that it was so close. Like, it was it was insanely close just how Mo was able to just barely pull out the victory. And I think that's just a testament to both Mo and PK being just really solid players throughout this entire season. I mentioned before in power ranking videos that PK has really impressed me through this season, man. PK really just blew my mind by not only how well he played, but because of the draft that he had, which I think was ranked like the absolute like second to last or last in my post-draft power rankings, because I didn't think that he would be able to make it work as well as he did, but he found some way to do it, and it brought him to the semifinals and just an inch away, man, just a little inch, like half an inch away from making it to the actual finals. So I want to give a huge clap to Mr. PK there, man. PK really just, whoo, definitely enjoyed PK's run throughout this entire season. But Mo was ultimately able to pull out the victory there. Mo did kind of get hacks near the end though, which is what also kind of made the match so close, but you can't really fault PK for that. Hacks is part of the game. He missed the Will-O-Wisp. I don't know if Scrafty was Shed Shell or not. I mean, not Shed Shell, Shed Skin or not. So I don't know if that miss ultimately would have mattered too much, but it would have been nice. The Leaf Storm miss with Superior near the end really did suck, because Superior might have been able to 1v1 Scrafty. Superior was actually a giant issue for PK to try and deal with. I was a little disappointed that Rotom making its debut did absolutely nothing, but it is what it is. And the weird thing about this matchup too is that PK like really shifted up his team, which I guess is not really that weird. Like when you go into rematches, when you go into playoffs especially, you really want to ensure that you not only like switch up your sets, but you kind of want to tweak your EV spreads. I don't agree necessarily that you need to bring the exact like 6 or like 5 out of 6 mons to a match, unless you like absolutely swamp the opponent and there was nothing they could do about it. Then okay, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. But you still want to try and change things up and adapt to certain different playstyles or certain different things that your opponent could bring to an actual playoffs and rematch game. And that is what PK ended up doing for this time around when he played Mo. He really changed things up, and I don't think he brought a single one of like his physically offensive mons, which was very interesting. Like Scrafty, I think Scrafty and Landers were probably like his hardest hitting mons, I think, on the physical side, if I'm not mistaken. So it's pretty interesting to see that he didn't have something like Terrakion or Cobalion, even Virizion. And Mo was able to kind of play around PK's team a little bit easier in that sense, because the great thing about PK's squad is that it's so terrifying like offensively wise, and it's so terrifying setup wise. But because he didn't necessarily bring that setup, Mo was able to kind of take advantage of that, and it was able to help him out in the long run of the battle, and ultimately Mo was able to pull out the victory. So 2 very good games that did happen for the semifinals, guys. And moving on to our finals matchup here, which should be on the screen, we have Mo, the Heated Mo, versus Nexus, and this is a very exciting finals for me personally, because these were actually the 2 highest ranked teams on my post-draft power ranking. If you guys remember that video, if you haven't seen that video, link should be down in the description. I need to make a playlist with all the like weekly recaps and the draft ranking stuff that I did, if you guys for some reason want to go look back at it. But Mo and Nexus were number 1 and number 2 respectively, which is also kind of funny because I had Nexus at number 1 in the post-draft power rankings, and I had Mo at number 2, but Mo ended up winning the entire coming out number 1 in the regular season, and then Nexus was number 4 in the regular season at the end. So that was just kind of a little bit funny to me. But yeah, both of these guys should have amazing prep this time going around. I think in their first match, Mo was able to kind of overwhelm Nexus. Nexus was not really prepared for what Mo had initially brought, or what Mo could have brought. And again, like, that's the good and bad aspect of rematches and having to play the same person twice, especially in playoffs, because obviously like the regular season game doesn't necessarily count. The way I like to look at it is that if you play somebody in the regular season and then you ultimately end up facing them in playoffs, you've had a match with them, which I would consider the battle, which is the regular season game. You know, that game doesn't have as big ramifications or as big of an impact as a playoff match, which I like to refer to the war. So you can win the battle, but you can still lose the war. So even though Mo won the battle in their first match that they had on the regular season, Nexus could come back and win the war, or Mo could end up winning both. And that's also what kind of makes this match very exciting, because if Nexus is able to play how he played against Nick without making those little like misplays here and there that he did make throughout the match, then I definitely think Nexus could have a win here. Not an easy win, but he could definitely have a win here. Like, I do believe Nexus can edge out Mo a little bit when it comes to skill wise, but I think a big factor of this match is going to be coming down to the prep that they each want to bring to this game. So I would recommend that they should try to change things up, maybe try to bring some surprises that would be able to catch the opponents off guard. They both have a pretty solid matchup. If I had to choose somebody to maybe have the edge, I would want to go with Nexus, just because with Mo's draft, he's basically forced to bring a defensive Mew, which can also open up for things like Suicune or Yuxi to come in, being able to take advantage of that Mew. He's gonna need the Nidoking and the Donphan or the Donphan for the Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko would be an absolute nightmare if for some reason Mo decided not to bring either of his ground types. Zard X, however, though, is a giant scary threat to Nexus's team. Yes, he does have a Suicune and he does have a Crocodile, but because of Tough Claws and just how absurdly hard Zard X can hit, it's still going to be denting Suicune and Crocodile, and if they're low enough, after a Dragon Dance, in comes Zard X and can potentially sweep. Victini is actually very, very scary for Mo to deal with if he's not able to bring something like a Pursuiter or maybe a fat defensive Mon with a certain berry, because Victini has so much coverage. And speaking of coverage, Nidoking also just kind of comes in and clicks buttons for the most part against Nexus' squad. Even though yes, he does have Yuxi, Nidoking has access to Shadow Ball, and while Shadow Ball is not a move that's typically seen in like Smogon format where Nidoking is in the UU tier, in Draft League, because of that massively huge diverse move pool, there's just about everything and anything that Nidoking could potentially run. So this, like, there's so many different ways that this match could go. Like, Snorlax is another scary thing for Mo to deal with. Superior low-key could actually be a giant nightmare for Nexus. Like, this matchup, man, I really think this match is going to be absolutely amazing. Unlike the first game where Mo was able to kind of just have Nexus on the edge of his seat and just kind of gain control of the match, I definitely feel like Nexus is gonna just sit down and focus a lot better like he did against Nick, and Nexus is going to bring his best that he can, and I do believe Mo is going to bring the best that he can as well. And Mo alone, like, Mo's really been so impressive this season. He said he wanted to just win one game, and here he is, one game away from winning it all. So I think that's pretty awesome. Let me know if you guys are excited for this finals match. I know a lot of you wanted to see Nexus versus PK, but it's okay because we have Mo versus Nexus, which is still pretty good, I think. And if y'all did enjoy this, hit that thumbs up button down below. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank y'all so much, and I will see you all next week. And hopefully, if I can, actually, I might try to just put an interview into next week's video. That way I don't have to make two separate videos. So we'll see how things go. I still have to talk to Nexus and Mo and see if they'd be down for that. But some of you guys did say you would like to see that, so I will try my best to make that happen. And with that being said, thank you all again for your great support, and I will see you next week. So later, everybody, make sure to check out the semifinals matches if you have not seen them already. So later, everybody.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends, it's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6 foot hacks. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks, yeah. 6 foot hacks,